Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater here with some sad news. After it came out last week that Disney was going to stand firm on firing James Gunn, the question really remained, who was going to be directing the film, and would the film still be on track to hit its May 2020 tentative release date? Tentative. We don't know if it's real or not, but tentative release date. And apparently now, that may not happen because according to The Hollywood Reporter, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is currently put on hold, saying here that production of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is being put on hold for the time being as Marvel and Disney regroup on the project. Sources say that crew members, which is at this stage a small group that was prepping for pre-production, are being dismissed and are free to look for new work. Now, that is not a good sign. That is not a good sign. That means that Disney is willing to let this project fall to the wayside. They're willing to let this project basically take a very big back seat, even though it was going to be a large part of kicking off Phase 4. I think it was going to kick off Phase 4, wasn't it? That was going to be the movie to kick off the phase. And unfortunately, with the situation involving James Gunn, which they should still rehire, this is their own fault, in my opinion. This is entirely their own fault. Now, the Marvel project was originally to be directed by Gunn. Was going to begin principal photography in the winter, either January or February. The project was crewing up and was have to gone into full pre-production mode in the fall. And then, of course, Gunn was let go. And the article goes on to say here that one person characterized the production hold as temporary and more of a regrouping as Marvel and Disney look for a filmmaker to take on the third installment. And the timeline has been pushed out. So, because they never actually gave us a date. They never actually set a date in stone. So that's definitely something to consider there. Now, apparently, Taika Waititi has had a meeting with Marvel, but it's unclear what project they discussed, and with good reason. And that's very true. Now, everyone's looking at Taika Waititi as being the guy to come in and take over. Being the guy to come in and bring this project home. And the truth of the matter is this. While it should be James Gunn, while it's entirely wholly unfair that it's not James Gunn, this is the reality that we live in. This is the real world. This is where we are. And so we have to start thinking ahead. And honestly, the best person to come on in and take over the job would probably be Taika Waititi. He would be able to replicate the visual style and the flair that James Gunn that he put into Guardians 1 and Guardians 2. The downside to it is I don't know if Taika Waititi would feel like he could bring that type of personality to the story. If he could bring it to the emotional levels that both Guardians 1 and Guardians 2 especially had. James Gunn put a lot of himself in that. He put a lot of himself in the characters, a lot of himself in the film, and he made it about family, about trying to overcome problems to become better people. And the ironic, the stupid dark irony of the situation is Gunn was really referencing himself in these stories, putting himself in his own transition from what he believed was basically a shitlord to a better person. And as a result, it still came back and found a way to bite him in the ass, as life tends to do from time to time. And this is just what the consequences are. So if Disney is if they're adamant on using his script, if they're adamant on using his words to finish up telling the story, then that's fine. I can live with that. I can be okay with that. But at the same time, this delaying it in order to regroup, in order to maybe get Taika Waititi in. Keep in mind, he is currently shooting a film called Jojo Rabbit. I don't know if the photography on that has ended or not, but he is starring in the movie that he's directing, which means that if there are going to be reshoots and he's getting ready to go in and direct this other feature film, they may want to push it back a little bit because they don't want him to be too spread thin, which does make sense, and I totally understand that. So that could be a thing. That could be an idea. That could be an angle of it. But I do feel that Disney pushing this back, I think, is giving it more time. This is kind of a weird thing. This is a weird theory. Hear me out on this one. Because I'm still holding on to the notion. I'm still holding on to the hope that James Gunn can be rehired. But they couldn't rehire James Gunn right away. They couldn't. So if they delay the movie for a little bit while they regroup, they might, maybe figure out a way to bring him back in. Because I've heard conflicting reports here. Right. I've heard conflicting reports. Like I've heard, Kevin Feige was okay with Gunn being fired. But then I've heard Feige was the one pushing for him to get his job back. I've heard that they've met with James Gunn. I've heard all of these things have happened, but we're not getting any official sources on this one. It's just an anonymous source inside Disney or close to the project has said, which makes it very, 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 suspicious. Even this story right here was attributed to sources say that crew members, right? The sources say, and it's, it's from a, like who's, the guy who wrote the article, and this is going to sound kind of pedantic, like I'm nitpicking. The guy who wrote the article is Boris Kitt, who's a writer for The Hollywood Reporter, but he's not even verified on Twitter. So is he a new guy? Is he a newbie? This is where we have to start, figuring things out. And it's been a very, very, very confusing situation thus far, and not one that that I think is going to be solved anytime soon. I do hope that Disney ends up, finding the right director. I do think that if not Gunn, if that is dead, if that is where things are, I can accept it. I can. But I still think that Taika Waititi would be the best course of action. So anyway, I put it to you guys. Do you think that this is a legitimate story? Do you think that this is legitimately they're putting it on hold indefinitely to kind of like regroup things? Because I've seen those headlines as well. Or do you think that that this is just a distraction technique as a way to just wait for enough time to pass to bring back James Gunn? I don't know. The questions are there, and I put them to you to answer them. If you guys haven't already, please thumbs up the video, subscribe, and check back often for more content from me. My name, of course, is Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day, and peace out. If you enjoyed this video, please consider becoming a patron today for just $1 per month over at patreon.com/MundaneMatt.